Eagle Nation, welcome into another edition of Eagles in Their Nest. We catch up with current and former student athletes to see how they're adjusting to the current socioeconomic climate regarding COVID-19. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with former rifle standout Lydia Odlin. Lydia, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, before we get into what a current graduate is doing with themselves with COVID-19, how does someone who grew up in Scarborough, Maine end up in Statesboro, Georgia?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster just getting down here. The one thing that I have discovered is that Chick-fil-A is the best thing on this planet. But yeah, I grew up in a tiny little town in Maine. Most people don't really know that NCAA rifle is a sport. We definitely don't know back home. I grew up with my dad. He was a big time hunter, and my brother and I love to compete for anything and everything. So when we discovered, oh, there's a little local rifle club, I'm probably going to beat you, kind of started there at age 12. And, next thing you know, the local competitions just weren't enough. We're like, oh, let's figure out if there's any state competitions. Oh, there's a junior Olympic tryout. We should try that. Oh, we actually got in. So once we, went off to junior Olympics in Colorado Springs and started getting more familiar with the sport, we all of a sudden we find out, wait, this isn't college. Like, we can get scholarship. Sorry.
Eagle Nation, those are the Blue Angels.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't kidding about those Blue Angels. They fly over a lot. No, once we get to Colorado, started getting more familiar with the college aspect of it. My brother ended up going to Morehead State and made it all the way to NCAA championships. I ended up going to Georgia Southern and kind of found my home in the South. And no, I haven't regretted a thing. I mean, it's definitely been a culture shock, but a good one at that. So,
you end up being a member of 2 SoCon championship teams. You were a 3-time academic All-American. So having the success that you did in your sport and in the classroom, how do you think that gave you the best college experience possible?
So many different reasons. I mean, it was a constant game of how do I balance this? I want to succeed on the range. I want to succeed in the classroom. Sorry, you're gonna have to edit a little bit of this. But so to me, it was all about balance. Fortunately for me, I took my approach to academics the same way as I approach rifle. You've got to train for X amount of hours. You've got to train well enough ahead of your match to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and fully prepare for match day or test day. So to me, it was just one and the same. I may, be shooting a gun in one aspect of it. I may be having a pencil in the other, but at the end of the day, my mindset's the same for both. You plan ahead, you practice, you train, and then come match day or test day or whatnot, you go out there and you do your best. And whatever happens, leave that day as that day and move on to the next one.
You're someone that got your degree in December in biology, now in Pensacola, Florida, working at Baptist Hospital. How did all that come about?
Well, so there was a boy involved. Fortunately for me, Georgia Southern brought me a lot more than just academic and athletic success. I want to say, about halfway through my, college athletics career, we had a competition at the Citadel, and I happened to have met another shooter who I like to beat and I like to look at. And, one thing kind of led to another. Sorry, I'm going crazy today. But one thing led to another, and we ended up dating. We started out casual, just having fun and everything, getting to see each other, getting to compete. Made, competing with each other that much more exciting and competitive.
Right.
But we've ended up, having a really strong relationship from it. We've been dating for about 2 years now, and once I graduated, I decided to move down to Florida with him. He's training to be a naval officer. Yeah, sorry. He's training in Navy flight school right now. He's either going to be a naval flight officer or a naval pilot, depending on, how all that shapes up. And, when he asked me to move in with him, the first thing was, okay, how can I, make this work for my career plans too? And fortunately, there are 4 hospitals in Pensacola. I ended up choosing Baptist. It's a non-for-profit hospital. They're very welcoming, they're very kind, and they really strive to better their community each and every day. And it's just a good atmosphere to be around.
So you're a recent college graduate, you're working at a hospital, and the world is going through the COVID-19 pandemic. How has how have you managed that?
Well, one day at a time. I will say the sport of rifle kind of, I feel like, prepped me in advance because in rifle, you can't afford to think about what's coming next. You can't afford to think about what happened. You have to focus, okay, what am I doing right now? How can I do this the best? Okay, that moment's gone. I got a new moment. What's going on now? How can I be helped? What can I do? That's actually transcended really well to the hospital because at a hospital I've discovered anything and everything will happen. You can have a sweet little old lady who just had, her first hip surgery in one hallway. You can have someone who's, a code blue losing oxygen in the other. You've kind of got to be prepared for anything and everything that'll happen. So when this whole COVID-19 broke out, it was definitely a shock, but we kind of regrouped funny enough the same way we do in athletics. Okay, a huge curveball kind of came in. How are we going to handle it? What's the game plan? And how are we going to implement this? And I think the biggest thing for us has just been keeping the public calm, reminding everybody that the most important things you can do right now are distance yourself and, just keep up with the hand washing, keep sanitizing. It's the little things we do day to day that are going to have a huge outcome for everybody in just the next few weeks.
You work in the neurology department, you're a patient care technician. I know you work directly with nurses, but with that in mind, just how close do you get to specific situations of COVID-19?
Initially, I was dealing with them directly. That was back when we had enough, personal protective equipment for everybody. We'd kind of rotate out with the techs. Okay, you deal with the COVID patients in this hallway today. I'll deal with them tomorrow, kind of thing. And it's a challenge. You walk into one room, you're putting on a full head to toe gown. You've got gloves. You've got your N95 respirator mask that's been specifically fitted to you. You've got an additional face mask that comes with an entire shield that goes up to your head. You walk into this room, you prepare all your equipment, then you go into a negative pressure room that helps kind of minimize the effects of respiratory illnesses. Deal with your patient, try to treat them the same as you would anybody else. No one wants to be feared, especially in a time like this when they need you the most. Then once you're done taking care of them, go back into your room, take everything off, wash your hands like no tomorrow, then go back to your other 9 patients. So it was a lot. But unfortunately, with supplies running short across the country, Baptist has decided to only have nurses going in at this time, just so that we can have our techs focus on everybody else. We can kind of minimize the equipment. But let me tell you, our nurses are working around the clock. Some of them are pregnant, some of them have little kids at home, and they're just downright fearless. Like, it's very impressive to watch.
Working where you are and seeing what you've seen, how do you think it's impacted you?
It's definitely put a huge perspective on kind of the way I view being healthy. You can walk in I usually show up around 5:30 in the morning. You're dead tired. You've had an argument with, your best friend the night before. You're just having the, worst day of worst days. But then you walk in and someone just had a stroke or someone just lost their father. All of a sudden you realize that no matter what kind of day you're having, your patient still needs you. So it's kind of learning how to compartmentalize, okay, my personal issues are going to wait till 6:30 at night. I'm going to, go forward and be my best self to the people who need me right now. So it's kind of made me a little bit more responsible in a sense. And it's kind of funny. I started out last semester being team captain to 4 young freshmen who, stellar athletes across the board, amazing girls in the class are manned out. So kind of learning that initial responsibility has really helped prepare me for handling people who, sometimes it's life or death in the hospital. And I'm really grateful. It was kind of a good stepping stone to go from Southern as team captain to someone working in a hospital in the neurology department.
As you look back on the journey it took to get you from Southern Maine to Statesboro, Georgia, now to Pensacola, Florida, what is the most important thing that you've learned through all of this?
Ooh, you asked the hard questions. Honestly, I think it would be learning how to adapt. You know, whether you like it or not, change is always going to happen. You can either go against it or you can learn to build yourself up with it. I initially, when I wanted to go to Georgia Southern, there was some communication mix up and I ended up not competing my entire first year. I had the option, okay, you can kind of give up and go back home to Maine, or, you can really fight for it and build yourself on who is worthy of competing at Georgia Southern. So, I went through the steps, took it day by day, and, next thing I know, cool, I'm on a Georgia Southern rifle team, let's go. And from there, it's just kind of taught me the mentality of, if you really want something, build yourself up and grow to be that person that you want to be. And, I didn't really expect to be heading to Georgia and now Florida, but I'm excited to see where life takes me next.
Lydia, I can speak on behalf of Eagle Nation. Really appreciate your perspective. Thank you for stepping in with us today. Thank you for what you're doing, and stay safe down there, okay?
No problem. Hail Southern.
That's Lydia Odlin, former rifle standout. Eagle Nation, stay healthy, stay happy. GATA.